Ah, the genre of horror. The very genre where people are always in search of some kind of trouble. If there's a haunted house, you know they'll move in. And if there's an extremely creepy attic in that house, our characters won't hesitate to take up a mattress there and spend the night. While sometimes these unfathomable stupid decisions do bode well and turn out for the best, other times it just isn't the perfect day and the whole situation goes to waste. But does this ever teach the characters about the consequences of these decisions? No, it doesn't, and it never will. Today we bring you the 10 movie decisions that resulted in disaster. But before we begin, make sure you press that subscribe button and have that notification bell ringing so you don't miss any of our future updates. And we have some major spoilers ahead. Number 10. I Am Stupid, I Am Legend. The ending of I Am Legend does make a great sacrificial scene for a well-written horror movie. The movie itself is pretty tense, and some scenes do put the viewers on the edge of their seats. Though the ending does make for a nice closure, it should be pointed out that it was downright stupid and ended up in Robert dying for absolutely no reason. Robert decides to put the antidote on Anna's hand instead of his, and puts Anna and her son into a safe shelf. He then proceeds to pull the pin off a grenade and launch himself towards the Darkseekers, while grabbing the grenade and blows everything up, including himself. What's so irritating about this decision is that instead of playing a legend, he could have just thrown the grenade towards the Darkseekers and entered the shelf with Anna and her son. There was more than enough room for the three of them. But what good is a horror movie without some stupid decisions? Number 9. Beach Money, Jaws 2. Almost half of the death counts in Jaws 2 could have been avoided if the mayor decided to close the beach. But did he? You bet your brains he didn't. After confirming that there is a great white shark loose on the seashore, the officials of the beach urged the mayor to close the beach to prevent further casualties. But the mayor has some other plans, some green plans that eventually led to red. The mayor was more concerned about the money the tourists brought rather than the tourists themselves, and due to his greed, he decided not to close the beach, even in such a state of emergency. Now that was one of the dumb decisions that led to the disaster. The other was people choosing to come to the beach even when rumors of an apex predator lurking around were spreading like wildfire. Now that is one classic horror movie move for you. And yes, we all know what happens after this, a huge ketchup party. Number 8. Let's get ourselves killed. The Purge. Sometimes I wonder that the very existence of this movie is to explain how dumb horror movie characters can get, and to challenge all previous stupid decisions that were made in other horror movies, and to test out every single stereotype there is. Purge Night is the one night where anyone can do anything and get away with it without facing any legal actions. And of course, this also includes murderers. More specifically, the Purgers. So, would you let a stranger inside your house on such a night? Asked the writer. Yes, I would, answered Charlie. After seeing a stranger in need of help, Charlie decides to disarm all of his home security and let the stranger in, as he is a noble and kind kid. This of course turns out for the worst, as the Purgers make their way inside Charlie's home and start wreaking havoc.
We need to return him to us. Alive.
But it gets worse from there. The family, instead of sticking together and watching each other's backs, split up pretty quickly and get hunted like rats. One of the biggest consequences for Charlie's idiocy is his father's death. Well done, Charlie. Number 7. Jason, my old friend. Friday the 13th, Part 6. Tommy might just be the most badass kid in the history of horror movies. He managed to murder Jason when he was only 12 years old. This, however, messed up his mind a little, as he was then traumatized for the rest of his life. What would you do if you were having troubles overcoming a trauma? Visit a therapist and get logical help, right? Of course not, says Tommy. as he goes back to the grave of the man he killed and digs it up to make sure that his one kill stats is not lost. When Tommy is stabbing Jason's corpse with a spear for no apparent reason, lightning strikes the corpse and kaboom! Jason is reanimated and is more powerful than ever, as he is basically undead. This then leads to Jason slaughtering another set of characters in the rest of the runtime. So much for that one kill stat, Tommy, you spawn of Einstein. Number 6. High driving, Hereditary. Now this one is absolutely bonkers and could have been avoided if only Peter had listened to them traffic broadcasts more carefully. Seriously, how can you miss a traffic broadcast? It's everywhere. But how dangerous can driving be when you're on some serious weed? Very dangerous, said the traffic. I don't care, says Peter. Now I know that Peter's case was a bit understandable. His sister was gasping for air and he needed to take her to the hospital quickly. But how hard was it to ask someone who was not high or drunk to drive for them? Or maybe call an ambulance right then and there? But we need a movie, and we need a plot, so Peter decides to shove his sister into the back seat and speed to the hospital himself. This ultimately resulted in Charlie getting decapitated by a pole when she stuck her head out for some air. I hope that weed was worth it, Peter. I really do. Number 5. Split Up Right Now. Resident Evil Apocalypse. The Resident Evil movies aren't exactly mind-blowing when it comes to setting up a proper horror atmosphere and a logical set of decisions, and one of the prime examples of this is in Resident Evil Apocalypse. When Jill Valentine arrives at school to rescue the daughter of an Umbrella researcher, she is accompanied by a news reporter named Terry and a comedian named Wade. After arriving at the school, the trio split up and head to their merry ways with a gun each and two of them with no idea how to use it, at least not against a human monster hungry for brains. Jill, of course, survives the ordeal, as she is a trained police officer and knows the ins and outs of how to shoot in the head. But we can't say the same about Terry. While searching for the daughter, Terry ends up in one of the classrooms and is bitten in her leg by a child zombie. She then proceeds to serve a greater role, as the food for a bunch of cute-looking cannibals. Jill is a genius. Number 4. Zombie Invitation, Zombieland. One of the biggest rules in a zombie movie is to make as little noise as possible. Decades have passed, and being quiet and stealthy has always been the key to surviving a zombie apocalypse.
Okay. Stop. What are you doing?
But Witchia and Little Rock had to prove themselves stupid. The siblings proceed to go to a theme park and turn it on, making noises loud enough to summon Cthulhu from parallel universes. When you are hell-bent on surviving and quite possibly fortifying a place to ensure safety from zombies, a free invitation to the theme park should not be on the checklist. While this does make for a cool ending sequence for a rather well-organized movie, it should be said that if the genre of the movie was gore instead of comedy, things would not have turned out well for our group, as being trapped in a theme park with zombies from all around the state significantly drops your chances of survival. And in all honesty, at least one of them should have bitten the dust there. Number 3. Kiss of Death 28 Weeks Later. It feels as if zombie movies have always produced these utterly stupid and face-palming moments, and 28 Weeks Later is no exception. After abandoning his wife at the hands of the infected, Don goes back to visit his wife, who is slowly turning into a zombie thanks to the Rage virus. Does this stop Don from making any physical contact with her? I wish it were just some physical contact. But Don straight up goes and kisses her, knowing that she has a freaking killer virus that spreads faster than COVID-19. This results in him being infected by the Rage virus, and then he ends up biting other people in the city, causing the whole apocalypse again. And it had only been a small amount of time since they had dealt with the previous wave. They say love is blind, but in this case, love was downright stupid. Number 2. Reading the book Evil Dead. The remake version of the original Evil Dead was quite good, to be honest, slapping critics right across their faces and establishing itself as a proper remake to a horror classic. The movie starts much like it started in the original movie, with a group of friends staying in a cottage in the woods. There, one of the guys finds a book that is first barbed with wire, second covered in human skin, third has creepy looking scratches and stitches all over it, and finally, they're in understandable English letters that say, "Leave this book alone." What does this guy do? Why, read it, of course. This triggers the evil within the place to awaken and cause all sorts of chaos that is mentioned in the book. I mean, I understand that horror movie characters have curiosity levels that surpass Isaac Newton himself, but if you literally have something that could potentially bring death on your door, why do you even bother to meddle with it? If it wants to be left alone, then leave it alone. Number 1. Check that pipe out. Jeepers Creepers. This is by far the dumbest decision any horror movie character has ever made. Imagine a scenario where you're riding along in your Jeep, chilling, thinking about the good times that are ahead. And then, on the roadside, you see a man dressed in all black with an eerie-looking mask and a mean-looking hat, dumping what seems to be human bodies down a huge pipe. What do? Check the pipe and then fall into it, as demonstrated by Derry. After witnessing such a horrible event, Derry and his sister are chased by that strange man with a huge truck on their tail. While they do manage to lose the truck, instead of heading to the nearest police station or civilization, the siblings go back to the pipe where the body was dumped. Derry then awakens Newton within him and goes on to discover Gravity 2.0 as he falls down the pipe and lands on a strange-looking pit. This causes him to be the killer's target, and he ultimately dies. Horror movies have some real horrible decisions. So, that was our list on the 10 horror movie decisions that resulted in disaster. Almost every horror movie out there has a couple of stupid decisions in store for us, so if we missed any major display of stupidity, then do let us know in the comments. And if you liked today's video, then do not forget to give us a thumbs up and press that subscribe button. And also have that notification bell ringing so that you can be the first ones to know about any of our future updates.